Come with me and we'll make many storms. He offered me the universe, but inside my heart is a picture of a girl. Some call love a thief, she's my home. And she's as much a part for this broken heart as the broken bones I always seem to mend. I'll take this drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you. He said I am the devil, boy. Come with me and we'll break many laws. He offered me eternal life, but inside my heart is a picture of a girl. Some call love a word, some call love a thief, but she's my home. And she's as much a part for this broken heart as the broken bones I always seem to mend. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you.
You'd think I would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think I left that at home.
Along with your tie.
Was I supposed to wear a tie?
Would it be on the bench?
Would it have been more respectful to wear a tie? I don't think Andrew ever liked ties. In fact, he said that every person he ever met who wore ties was a complete... I can't say that, can I, with a public crowd. Of course, there were a lot of problems with Andrew, and I don't want to spend my time focusing on those because the others are going to talk about what a good guy he was. But that's so wrong in so many ways. Toot.
the fear, oh, in my blood. She was carried up into the clouds high above. Ooh, if you play, I'll bleed the same. Ooh, if you're scared, I'm on my way. Did you run away? Did you run away? I don't need to know. But if you ran away, come back home. Just come home. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, when I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away.
I missed the good part, then I realized I started looking and the bubble burst. I started looking for excuses. Come on in, I've gotta tell you what a state I'm in. I've gotta tell you in my loudest tones that I started looking for a warning sign.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And Alexander lecture theatre, so just
Okay.
yeah.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can everyone hear me well, wherever you are? IMO? Yeah, all good? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the truth is that I miss you so. A warning sign, you came back to haunt me, and I realized that you were an island and I passed you by when you were an island to discover. Come on in, I've gotta tell you what a state I'm in. I've gotta tell you in my loudest tones that I started looking for a warning sign. When the truth is I miss you. Yeah, the truth is that I miss you so, and I'm tired. I should not have let you go. So I crawl back into your arms. Yes, I crawl back into your arms, and I crawl back into your open arms. Yes, I crawl back into your open arms.
The sweetest life, no complication. We're both changing side by side. Though my disguise won't let me be shy, won't let you inside. I know you try. My oh my, this love is blind, caught a fool and blind. My oh my, you show me. My oh my, when all you seek is buried deep inside. My oh my, you show me. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. Can I describe the strangest feeling of finally nearing the closing page? I'm on an island, past your silence, past the trying to hold the same. My oh my, this love is blind, got a fool and blind. My oh my, you show me. My oh my, when all you seek is buried deep inside. My oh my, you show me. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. And all your fears won't hold you here at night. So the years, they roll into a line. My oh my, my oh my, this love is blind, caught a fool and blind. My oh my, you show me. My oh my, when all you seek is buried deep inside. My oh my, you show me. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to live, to live, to live. What it is to live, to
They
live,
are down. That's what that's.
to live.
They are down to possibly speak, depending on how they feel. So that's so there'll be a video of their names and they may speak. So that's but that's that where it's the door slot. Three blokes. So Tony, Tim, Andrews. You met them?
Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
So on our running sheet, we have what's the email? Mark.
Sweet Mary Jane, won't you lay me down? Lost my heart in California, lost my mind. Shot me down with a revolver, got me high. Then a heart of gold came on the stereo. Mr. Young made me cry. And all the colors of old brick road. Took a train to the river where I dove right in. A skinny dipping girl made the bluebirds sing. I fell in love in California. She blew my mind. She shot me down with a revolver. She got me high. The weatherman came on the radio, said there'll be sunshine. And all the colors of the rainbow fell in my mind. I lost my mind long ago, down that
G4.
Losing expression, facing the autumn. Step up the morphine, stand by my side. Boiling rejection, caught in the heavens. Planning a new one, taking the sky. You are the silence in my brain, unsettled by the weather. We built a kingdom in the rain. I think we're getting better. Sometimes I wanna know why we bother at all. Under impressions, growing or crooked, sideways and under, cured by glances of fortune and memories. I should be loathing, I couldn't find you, and I shouldn't care. You were the silence in my brain, unsettled by the weather. We built a kingdom in the rain. I think we're getting better. Sometimes I wanna know why we bother at all. I'll rise to the sun, setting in the back of the eye. I'll rise to the sun, setting in the back of the eye. Sometimes I wanna know why we bother at all. Sometimes I wanna know why we bother at all. Grant me a new one. I'm growing slowly. Sign of reflection, cued by a goddess. I'm loaded and ready, more than I wanted. Step up the morphine.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like my father's come to pass, 7 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends. Here comes the rain again, falling from the stars, drenched in my pain again, becoming who we are. As my memory rests, but never forgets what I lost. Wake me up when September ends. Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when Summer is coming past. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like my father's come to pass. 20 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends. Wake me up when September ends. Wake me up when September ends.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a bit of a player participation. Oh, okay. Yeah, which would be.
Okay, all right. But if you do, I'll be there.
I walked across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. I felt the earth beneath my feet. Sat by the river and it made me complete. Sympathetic, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. I came across a fallen tree. I felt the branches of it looking at me. Is this the place we used to love? Is this the place that I've been dreaming of? Oh, sympathy, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. So if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything. So why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know. Oh, sympathetic, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. So if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything. So why don't we go? So why don't we go? Oh, how this could be the end of everything. So why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know. Somewhere only we know.
Oh, what a thing to have done. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. And you know I love you so. You know I love you so. I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do. 'Cause you were all yellow. I drew a line, I drew a line for you. Oh, what a thing to do. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. And you know, for you I bleed myself dry. For you I bleed myself dry. It's true. Look how they shine for you. 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 Look how they shine. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. And all the things that you do.
I took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. will a landslide bring it down? Oh, the landslide bring it down.
Let's dance in style, let's dance for a while. Heaven can wait, we're only watching the skies. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop the bomb or not? Let us die young, let us live forever. Don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in the sandpit, life is a short trip. Music's for the sad man. Can you imagine when this race is run?
you come in and put your bags down. I know there's something in the air. How can I do this to you right now? You're over there when I need you here. My happiness slowly creeping back. Now you're at home. If it ever starts sinking in, it must be when you pack up and go. It seems an age since I've seen you. Countdown as the weeks trickle into days. I hope that time hasn't changed you. All I really want is for you to stay. So you come in and put your bags down. I know there's something in the air. How can I do this to you right now? You're over there when I need you here. My happiness slowly creeping back. Now you're at home. If it ever starts sinking in, it must be when you pack up and go. I know what is inside. I know what is inside. I know what is inside. I know what is You're over there when I need you here. My happiness slowly creeping back. Now you're at home. If it ever starts sinking in, it must be when you pack up and go. My happiness slowly creeping back. Now you're at home. If it ever starts sinking in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to this commemoration ceremony for Andrew. It's wonderful to be here in this venue where so many of us have shared memories. And although this is a difficult day in so many ways, I think it says on your pamphlet there that Andrew wouldn't have wanted us to be too miserable. That this is a commemorative ceremony to celebrate the life of an amazing, beautiful, brilliant man that all of us loved. And it's overwhelming and beautiful that so many people are here to celebrate that. Jane knows, but maybe Jemima and Tabitha
don't know that this is unusual. That when someone passes away, that this many people come to express their love and their joy, that this many people's lives and hearts have been touched by the life of someone like your dad. So thank you everyone for that, for the support that you're providing and the support that you'll all provide each other today. If you don't know me, my name's Donald Ormond, and I had the absolute privilege and pleasure of working with Andrew every second Wednesday morning. I hope you've all noticed the indiscretion in the middle part of the photo there. The man was completely incapable of taking a serious photo. The Wednesday just passed, 3 days ago was the Wednesday we'd normally work together. So it was difficult, as it has been since we stopped working together. I miss him so much. Wednesday mornings were always so fun and so exciting. I'd turn up to work, he'd always be there before I was because I was always late. And all the staff are laughing. And he'd be sitting there with his leg crossed over, as he always did, with the paper open. And he'd always have something to say, be passionate about something, something in the newspaper, something that was irritating him or annoying him, or something he knew was stupid and wrong. He was such a guy with so much common sense, he hated political correctness, or he had a story to tell, and as we go through today, so many people are going to tell the great stories that Andrew told. And they were stories not that he made up, he just had this amazing life where stuff happened to Andrew. We all know it was just ridiculous that he had a story of something amazing every week, and he told it so well, and everybody would always be in fits of laughter to the point, I'd have to put the scope down, stop and just laugh, let it all come out until we could move on. Don't let anybody know about that. But he wasn't just the guy who told funny stories. He was an amazingly passionate man about all sorts of things, about politics and what was right, and about caring for people and the work that he did beyond that. He really was a brilliant, brilliant man. He was a larrikin, but he was also a guy who had almost no sense of self-importance and no vanity. I was just talking, his favourite haircut ever was the one that Tabitha gave him with a pair of clippers. And I'm afraid Tabitha wasn't the greatest haircut, it looked appalling. But that was the kind of guy he was. He wore the same shirt, I think, every week for the last 5 years, and the same pair of jeans, and he didn't care about that stuff. He cared about things that meant stuff to himself and the people he was with. And I think BK made a comment in one of the emails that when you're with him, you always felt like he was with you and you were special. And I think just about everyone here feels the same way. I think all of that comes from the fact that he had a complete lack of malice. He had a beautiful, beautiful heart. He was an extraordinary expression of the inexplicable human spirit. And I know that his spirit is here with us. If it's just for you, the memory of him, it's just that. If you feel like there's something more here, then it's here. Andrew's here with us today to celebrate his life. So thank you, everybody. What we're going to do now is look at some photos and some music, a short video that was put together by Jemima and Tabitha and their cousin Katie. So we'll pop that on.
smoky morning haze, the sun on her face, and the touch of lovers' hands, the pain that comes today is here, then goes away. We are homeward bound, and I want this more than life. I want this more than life. I want this more than life. To touch something real will help your wounds heal, like the sun on your face, dreams, starry nights, and we are homeward bound, and I want this more than life. I want this more than life. I want this more than life. I want this more than life.
Okay. We're now going to ask Jemima and Tabitha and Katie to come up to the stage, and Tabitha's going to say some things about her dad.
Dear Dad, I miss you and I wish you were here. I can tell you a parent is irreplaceable for a child. When a parent dies, their child is no longer whole. The loss makes it hard to breathe. That child fails into the wind like a cottonwood seed, a piece of fluff that gets knocked about by the world, by the wind. Sometimes I land on solid ground. Sometimes I land in a pond and almost drowned. But I am still here. I survived. We survived. Sometimes it feels like I'm unable to cry, but I'm always proven wrong. Happy memories flood into my mind, tainted with sadness, when I realise you are not here with me. But what gives me comfort is knowing that you are such an amazing, kind, and generous person. When you were sick, I asked you how you felt. You told me that 2 weeks ago you would have been extremely sad that you wouldn't get to see JJ and I grow up. Never get to see us graduate high school or university. Never walk us down the aisle on our wedding day. Never hold your grandkids in your arms for the first time as they hold on to you for safety. And never get to be that grumpy old man that bosses everyone around, even though you already did that. In your last few days, you told me that you were no pain and that you were comfortable, and I was thankful for that. When you were alive, I thought I had a good understanding of you as a person. I was never lost and always knew where I was headed. You had always been a presence in my life. You were key in making me the person I have become today. But then you died, and everything changed. I am lost, and you're not here anymore to show me where to go. I know that I'll figure it out. Mum is amazing, and she'll help JJ and me, and of course we will help her. We'll get through this. I could never forget you. A part of me is still lost, and I am wondering if I'll ever get it back. Maybe that piece is with you, and someday you can put it back in me, and I will be whole again. I know your death will shape me into the person I am to become, and hopefully this person is someone you are proud of, someone that is strong. You were there since the day I was born, there when I was sad, there when I was happy. Know that you are missed more than words can say, and that my love for you will never fade. I will not think of you every day. A time will come when I have adjusted to life without you, as sad as that thought might be. But I will never forget who you were and what you meant to me and what you taught me. You taught me how to be resilient, how to be generous. You taught me loyalty and how to piss off Mum. I hope that I can do your memory justice. Your belongings that you gave me, I will always treat them with care. I am grateful for all the small pieces of your life I get to carry on to mine, even though you yourself are not here. The sun has gone down on this part of my life, but my life is not over. I want to live in a way that honours your memory. I hope that someday I will see you again. So for that reason, I will not say goodbye. I will simply say goodnight. Good night, Dad. I love you.
Thanks, Tabitha and Jemima and Katie. The next person to speak is, dare I say, another larrikin. Tony's going to talk about the Thursday crew. He'll tell you exactly what that was. All I can say is I was incredibly jealous I wasn't part of it. But tell us all about it, Tony.
Thanks. Tissue. Good morning. My name is Tony Pethick. In a slight departure from convention, going off-piste, as Andrew was often fond of putting it, I've given my few words for Andrew a title, That Laugh. I should also say at the outset that some of the following, though it may sound as though it's being presented as fact, is in fact not necessarily so. There's much to say about Andrew, and I'm going to indulge in just a few reflections of the boy I knew and loved. And I say boy because that's what we adored about him, the bits of the person that didn't quite grow up. I became friends with Andrew, non to many simply as whole, way back at Floreat Primary. I must have had plenty to do with him, but my first clear memory of him that drew a straight line to the man that he was to become was in about grade 7. Friday afternoon sport, Andrew, Gold Faction captain, and others were entrusted with setting up a number of sets of cricket stumps around the oval. Wicket setting up was going well until, appearing from nowhere, a dervish on a 10-speed. Olney, massive grin, scrawny limbs pumping, cackling maniacally, and even at that early stage, the unmistakable whole laugh. Careening around the oval, knocking over our carefully placed stumps. There's something in that story, something of the essence of Andrew. The chaos, the mischief-making, the larrikin, that laugh. Hole was a great mate, as we've heard mentioned many times already, immensely funny, intensely loyal, not just there for the good times. He wanted to know if things weren't fantastic as well. Andrew touched people, he drew them to him. Inimitable sense of fun, irresistible. Always and always that laugh. He was a force of nature. He was a devoted, loving, sometimes irascible husband to Jane, although I note Jane's, in her own words, in the Memorial pamphlet, a pain up the arse husband or something, I think. But a loving and fiercely proud dad to Jemima and Tabitha, devoted and very close brother to Jane, adored uncle to Jane and Hayden's 4 children, brother to Rob, who I am not sure made it today. There, Rob, hi, g'day mate. You can't talk about Andrew and not mention DIY master builder. Favoured mediums, limestone and recycled distressed jarrah. He loved to build a structure, sheds, chook houses, alfresco areas, outdoor showers, non-compliant plumbing. Crazy stuff to entertain his darling Tabby and Jemima. Indoor trapeze in the cavernous halls of Tuckfield, ridiculously oversized flying fox, a megapolis of bunny hutches. Ingenious improviser, a typically telling story of Hull of a concrete truck on site at their old Shenton Road house. A slab to be poured for no good reason that was ever evident. Concrete grano guy bemusedly asking Hull, "Where's the Rio, mate?" Andrew, unfazed with signature cackle, nonchalantly skips inside, grabs an old steel string double bed, heaves it into the pit without a word. Grano guy, with a nod of the head in respect, wordlessly begins the pour. Postscript, to this day, that useless slab has defied all contractors, excavators and jackhammers' attempts to remove it. Hole in the spa bath, Hammersley Road frat house days. Big party planned for that night, a tight budget that had been entirely allocated to alcohol. Nonetheless, there was a requirement for a pretty huge spa in the alfresco area. Verge collection that weekend, Hole moved into high gear. old paddle pool liners, beer cold plate on barbecue to heat the water, vintage Hoover vacuum on full reverse for bubbles. Lawyer mates drafting up bulletproof public liability waivers. Alcohol, gas, flames, electricity, water everywhere. What could go wrong? Happy days. The water slide. Hole wanted a water slide for his girls, something enormous. Evidently, inadvertently, nearly purchased, 1 click away, a plastic extrusion plant that makes water slides, delivered to your door in several containers. Disaster averted, and not to be deterred, Andrew bought half a theme park. The shipping container arrived, and perhaps overstating it a tad, this fun zone turned into what you'd expect at Wet n Wild on the Gold Coast. Unfortunately, like all things from Alibaba, it wasn't going to last forever, or even that long. Closed for maintenance, signs inevitably went up when a rusty part of the superstructure collapsed, dramatically stranding a couple of frightened 8-year-old girlfriends way up high, narrowly avoiding serious injury. Hole assuaged the concerns of parents with free tetanus shots. As most of you know, he loved his online shopping. The Star Trek van, the ring of the door, little yellow packages, the serotonin rush, LED lights, laser security devices, clips, shackles, wires, and always more LED lights. Indeed, Hole has essentially just sourced his entire house renovation from Alibaba. Andrew the Seeker, the philosopher, gay rights activist. Hole had a long-running proxy war with the East Freo Anglican Redemptorist Church, the battleground being the signage on the bus stop bench just out the front of Andrew's house. Hole didn't mind people holding their views, but he didn't mind challenging them. In the dead of night, God loves you would mysteriously change to an LGBTQIA call to arms. I love you, just the gay you are, would go up in its place. One plot removed and another rather determinedly screwed in its place. This epic wrestle went on for a few weeks, tit for tat, one sign replaced by another. God loves each of us would become love is love, and so on, until a grainy CCTV image appeared in the local press. A culprit of indeterminate gender, long blonde wig, clutching what was unmistakably a DeWalt power screwdriver. Andrew's DIY weapon of choice. His cover being blown, Hole prudently withdrew from the fray. Hole the mariner, master and commander, and part owner of the Lazy Bones, better known as the Bones. A barnacle, seaweed festoon, guano mountain of shag shit eyesore of a 30-foot aluminium boat on the East Frio stretch of river. Bones became an extension of Hole's DIY blank canvas. Fluoro orange painted highlights, Bunnings aluminium ladders lashed on, doing God knows what. All of this. A piss-taking doff of the hat to the squillionaires that he shared the river with. Each Thursday morning for the past 5 or so years, our so-called book club has met on the deck at the Shore House. I'd invariably be running late, like Donald, making my way across the entrance to the lawn just below the deck. Hole, affecting to toss an unwanted glass of water over the side, would douse me with it every time. Stu, Steiners, Hole and myself, no wives. In conversation more befitting of a bunch of adolescent twits, oblivious to the mortified looks of nearby tables, hilarious, unbridled laughter, Andrew always at the centre. We drank coffee, lamented the world, teased each other mercilessly, shamelessly gossiped and passed judgment on others. And then finally, all of us, each of us, finally always, each of us trying to duck out of paying the bill. Andrew has physically left us. His presence and memories may fade slightly with time, but we'll all continue to chuckle and snigger as we recall the chaos, the mischief-making, the larrikin, and of course that laugh. Those 2 syllables, more than just a laugh, but a battle cry to mischief. So if you want to commune with Hole, just listen and you'll hear that laugh. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Tony. I don't think anyone could have expressed any better that inner child of Andrew's that was the light for so many of us, that he could get away with what no one else could get away with. God bless him. Next, we are going to hear from Tim Hewitt, who's a colleague, a friend, and worked with him on the Rainbow Project, which I'm sure he'll tell us about, and numerous murderous trips to the deep blue. So Tim Hewitt.
It's with great sadness that I'm here talking to you today about my friend and work colleague Andrew. I'm honoured to have been his friend and to have the opportunity to give the people here today an insight into some of the special times we had together. My friendship with Andrew started when we were both new to private practice and working together. This became a close friendship and extended into our common interests outside work. As I recount some of our times together, I think that if Andrew was here today, he'd be slouching in his chair, revelling in my awkwardness at having to make this difficult speech. He'd be looking at me with his naughty grin, another of his jokes at my expense. Here's Andrew ready for our morning list. Take note of the glint in his eye, but also of the very small scrub top. He wore this size regularly because it felt he made his chest appear bigger. Some of my fondest memories of Andrew are the times we spent overseas on charity surgical missions to the Philippines. Andrew was a key member of Operation Rainbow and was passionate about his surgical trips. He was a board member and director of anaesthesia for our group. During his tenure, Rainbow treated over 1,000 children. Overseas mission work is not easy, and it's particularly challenging for anaesthetists. They can have troubles with sick patients, poor equipment, difficult procedures, and in Andrew's case, Filipino mobsters with guns when you fail to pay your bill. But while some floundered, Andrew thrived in this environment. He loved it, and the teams loved him. It's no secret that it can be tough to get a harmonious team together on these trips. And the first question invited surgeons ask is, who's the anaesthetist? But with Andrew on the trip, we had to turn surgeons and nurses away. He had a genuine warmth and respect for all our team and our local helpers, to whom Dr. Andrew was always the favourite. Please note the hotel dressing gown. He wore that the whole day. For me, this was Andrew at his best, and he knew it. He was a fantastic paediatric anaesthetist and great with the kids. Despite the cultural divide, the kids knew that here was a clown that genuinely cared for them. Andrew loved the adventure. He loved being able to run an operating theatre the way he wanted to, without the rules and regulations that can stifle us at home. He also loved that dress. He founded a little stall in a market in Manila. He would modify anaesthetic equipment, mix anaesthetic drugs and push the boundaries, keeping us on our toes, always streamlining what we do. He was in charge and he could do whatever he wanted to. So much so that when the local news station came up to do interviews with the team, Andrew would wait until the patient was asleep and we were busy to slip outside and explain to the journalist how the real work of a mission was in fact done at the head end by him, the man in charge. Anyone could sew up a lip, but his job was difficult and dangerous, so he was the man to talk to. A tradition which started 12 years ago was our annual Abrolhos spearfishing trip. The first year we organised the trip, we had trouble finding 6 keen fishermen. Excuses like a sore back, on call, seasickness, I don't like killing things. And our favourite, the classic, my wife won't let me go. Well, there was no such problems with Andrew. A strong back, iron stomach, and Jane was all for it. Please take him away, she said. The only problem was Andrew couldn't fish. That first year he caught nothing, but he was hooked and has been on every trip since, 12 years solid. The first to commit every year and the last to pay. It was fun to watch his fishing develop and improve over the years. More gear was bought and modified. He became an avid spear fisherman and he worked out he could go 1 week with only packing a single shirt. Fortunately, it wasn't Andrew's beloved boat Lazy Bones, seen here moored on the Swan, that we used at the Abrolhos. And yes, the makeshift flybridge you see is a folding ladder. He was a dangerous spear fisherman, which in fishing circles can actually be a compliment. Not necessarily so in the case of Andrew. Over the years, one thing about his fishing remained constant: a complete disregard for any bag, size or species limit. Buff brim, parrotfish, morwong, tiger sharks, none was safe. He'd bring them all aboard. The decky would have to decide what to keep. I would like to say that none were wasted and all were eaten, but some of the stuff you couldn't even identify, let alone eat. Andrew was a great innovator. He always had a surprise for us. One year it was a fully submersible 240-volt LED squid attractor, which he had made from an old jam jar. The next year, he made a crayfish leash that he used to tether them to his belt underwater. And then it was the magnetic dive knife that didn't need a sheath. Needless to say, he was electrocuted by his light that didn't attract squid. The crayfish got tangled and he lost his knife. All of Andrew's gear needed frequent running repairs and was held together with cable ties, wire and electrical tape. When Andrew was having treatment early this year, he tried so hard to get well enough for the fishing trip. It was a goal for him early in his treatment. Unfortunately, by the time of the trip, his chest wasn't up to it and he missed out. Our fishing trip wasn't the same and never will be. Try as we might, no one was as much fun to laugh with as Andrew. Andrew was like no one else. He was my wise counsel. We had great times together, and whether in the Philippines or on the back of a boat, he had a grounded humility and lightheartedness that was just so much fun. Rest in peace, my friend Andrew. I miss you terribly.
Thanks very much, Tim. Next up to speak is Andrew Miller. Lots of people are going to thank Andrew as the day goes on, but I'll just start here by saying I hope everyone understands that really all of this has been put together by Andrew with Jane and the family, and that his efforts to support Andrew and the family and all of us have been remarkable. So here's Andrew.
Thanks, Donald. This will only go for about 10 minutes, allowing for some crying time in there. But that's what today's for. It's an honour to speak here today of all days, in the spiritual home of our year of the medical course, as Donald mentioned, where we all half slept through our lectures, sidled up to ones we crushed on, sometimes vomited and gaped as Hanny descended on a rope from up there while some poor lecturer was trying to talk about zoology. Thanks to Andrew's beautiful family for letting me vent today. There are, as you are starting to appreciate, a million stories of Olney, and they are told breathlessly and with awe and repeated and spread and retold, and never can the changes make them unbelievable or, in fact, more outrageous, because this is Olney. How many of you have got one of these in your backyard? I thought not. There are a million reasons why he was the most remarkable, awe-inspiring, audacious, calamitous and outright childish fun individual that many of us ever met. There are a million tears that we have yet to shed and a million regrets that we will live with of the times we want more than anything for him to be there. Whether it's in the operating theatre where he skillfully eased patients' anxiety with his silly banter while seriously doing a bloody good job, or at home where his tools now surely lie, silently missing him. Or on holiday in Indonesia when he loses control of his scooter mid-burnout and has the locals running in fright as he demolishes their garden. A million times we will reach for the phone to send a message or a photo because he's the one who will be amused by this crap or that crap going on, and then we'll put the phone down again with a sigh. A million times that sigh. There are a million ways in which our lives have been improved by the master renovator, the winker, the nodder, the shady, sly dancer and one-armed hugger, the father and husband and brother to end all brothers, who never even saw the lines the rest of us could not believe that he was crossing. There are a million Alibaba vendors in the Guangdong province who are panicking right now and trying to find new markets where to sell 1 million LED lights. There are 1 million doors that he opened for us to look through nervously as he giggled his way into some naughty yet harmless adventure, like when smoking a vape pipe in an operating theatre. Not recommended. Or gently suggesting an infection control nurse could fuck off. Not recommended. Or putting neon lights on my car tyre valves so that for some weeks I was mysteriously getting the thumbs up from other bogies when driving home at night. There were 1 million times that the fact that he had no regard for your race, colour, religion, occupation, sexuality or lack thereof was such a relief to many who feel constantly judged. He was a relief. He simply was blind to difference and was irritated with political correctness because he thought it was unnecessary. He never discriminated. He didn't understand that others did. There are 1 million grains of sand in that part of Port Beach where he sat with his sister Jane, the place they called the office, in the last few months. They were watching the pilots come and go simply as an excuse for being close, close, close to her. Close enough to live a long goodbye. A goodbye between two siblings who were the source of each other's survival in times of young pain that was 1 million times more than any family should feel. For my birthday this year, I got to spend the night with him. Not for the first time, but the most recent and the last time. To be honest, I wasn't really at the hospital because he needed me. He had a few good nurses and a lot of good drugs, but I needed him. I was there so that I could avoid being somewhere else worrying that he needed something, and I was there to say my goodbyes, which, of course, as between us, were largely unspoken, as it should be between such friends. And the less we said, the more complicated and involved our conversation got. Meaningful silences punctuated by such nonsense as his Gandhi impersonating run to the bathroom, or a hit from the morphine machine, or a tiny sedative tablet juggle, and a few minutes of the St John of God breastfeeding channel on the TV. It plays all night, it turns out. And some fiddling with the sheets. At one point he did speak up to say he was faking the cancer, like that crazy chick over east did, doing it for the cash. I told him he was going to be in big trouble. Well, it was a pretty good job, as if that ever made a difference to him, and he just gave me the cheeky grin. And then he told me what to say to you today. It's not a funny story, because a lot of his inner life was serious. The yang to his yin was a black dog. That quiet desperation sometimes in his eyes brought a vulnerability, and that opened him up to others like us, and it's maybe why some of you were drawn to him. He lived with it, and he mostly trained that dog, but it followed him, and he developed a philosophy as a result of it. Not a complicated philosophy, look, it might not even be a good one, but it was his philosophy. There were 1 million times he could have given up, and it was the family unit, his wife Jane, of course, his 2 girls Jemima and Tabitha, that he made with her, who made his head and his heart explode. The ones he built and built and built a life and a house for with his own flesh, and certainly no plan other than to bind that unit together so it could not be broken. His wife Jane, of course, he never married properly. They did it on the run in London with a couple of soccer supporters as witnesses and got around to sort of a reception 6 months later. It was a shambolic, ridiculous, cheapskate, perfect way to start the rest of their lives. Anyway, he said we all have a voice in our head. He said if you have more than one voice in your head, it is too crowded and you must see a doctor. But one voice is okay, and of that one voice we must remain firmly in control. We can spend too much time listening to it, and that voice becomes more and more inwardly focused and counterproductive. It can tell us stories about us or about others that no one should have to listen to. Some people have a natural ability to quieten it down and ignore themselves, while others use the alcohol and the drugs or some other denial. And some people turn to God, and for some people that works for them. His message was to find some healthy strategy like meditation for that voice. Find the people, find the job, find the time, find the place, find the balance to control your inner voice, and remember what it is to be childish, what it is to be adventurous, what it is to have fun. And thus ended the sermon from the bed of Olney. After he told me all that, he went to sleep for a while, and I held his hand and he coughed up some crap, and it felt like the most messed up and perfect birthday I'd ever had. And there are a million things he did for us that we will never forget. There will be a million ways in which we'll miss his heart, his strength, his bravery. My God, his bravery in the face of death. And a million times we will need to talk to that voice in our head and say to it, "Nah, shut up, we're going with the childish, the adventurous, the outrageous, the awesome." And in his memory we will wring every last bit of juice from this life, whatever it is and whoever it's for. He went in peace at the end. He really was, knowing his luck was complete in having such a family. And because he knew we all bloody loved him and that we would be together as we missed him. A million times we loved him, and he deserved no less.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm just going to take a little break and sit with some more photos and some music of Andrew. Again, it's been put together by Jemima and Tabitha and Katie.
I am the devil, boy. Oh, come with me and we'll make many storms. He offered me the universe, but inside my heart is a picture of a girl. Some call love a curse, some call love a thief. She's in my home, and she's as much a part for this broken heart as the broken bones I always seem to mend. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you. Come with me and we'll break many laws. He offered me eternal life. Inside my heart there's a picture of a girl. Some call Lily Word, some call Lily Thief, but she's on my home. And she's as much a part of this broken heart as in broken bones always seem to mend. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you. I'll taste the devil's tears, drink from his soul, but I'll never give up you.
Okay, so we've come to that time in our ceremony where we're going to ask Jane to speak. Wonderful Jane Olney.
As all of you who knew Andrew well will know, being a devoted father, husband, and full-time anaesthetist was never enough. Andrew had a highly driven, creative side, which expressed itself in his other great obsession, building things. Every house we ever lived in benefited from his highly individualised brand of home improvement, now dubbed Olney style, thanks to Adam and Jane Steinberg. Andrew and I met at law school in the UK. I was a 22-year-old fresh-faced uni graduate, and he was a mature age student with a med degree, a motorbike, and an Aussie accent. His cheeky smile, his irreverent wit, and his wicked sense of humour, together with his rugged Australian looks, had me mesmerised. I was utterly smitten. I went home that evening and announced to my friend's sister that I had met the man I was going to marry. But it wasn't straightforward. Nothing in life with Andrew was ever straightforward. There were numerous highs and plenty of lows over the next few years. My heart was broken on more than one occasion. After 4 years, though, he decided we should marry, a decision romantically inspired by the fact that his visa was about to expire. A quick trip round the corner to the Chelsea football ground just as the game was finishing, grabbing 2 unsuspecting Chelsea fans from the emerging throng and dragging them with us to be our witnesses at the local registry office, a couple of vows, the exchanging of rings, and we were married. 2 years later, as summer drew to an end, he announced he could not survive yet another English winter. We'd bought a house just 9 months earlier, which he'd painstakingly renovated from top to toe. It was a narrow 3-storey house in southeast London. It was his pride and joy and my home, or so I thought. We were due to go to Australia toward the end of September for his brother Rob's wedding. I had already booked 3 weeks off work for the trip. But in a matter of weeks, that 3-week trip became a 3-year, maybe longer, plan, and we were emigrating to Australia. As I said before, nothing was ever straightforward. 3 years later, we were living in our house in Swanbourne, and yes, he had added his own personal touches to that house as well. And we weren't going anywhere. Jemima came along in July 2002, and to say that he was a devoted father is an understatement. This was one of his finest creations yet. One of his friends told me only recently how she remembered meeting Andrew after Jemima had been born. He was so enraptured, it was like he was floating on air. We moved to City Beach not long before Tabitha was born, and yes, renovations and Olney-style additions took place there too. After the birth of his second daughter, he couldn't have been happier. He was complete. Our family was complete. He was working long hours at the time, but he liked nothing more than to come home to his bears, just as I was calming them down for the bedtime routine. He'd charge into the house and rev them up so any chance that I had of getting them to bed on time, so that I could have some much-needed downtime, was ruined. Jemima had started kindy in City Beach, and we were settled there, or at least so I thought, until, inevitably, Andrew ran out of building projects and room. One Saturday, whilst browsing the weekend papers, Andrew spotted a write-up on a huge, neglected, ramshackle beauty in Fremantle that had previously been a nunnery. It was described as a renovator's delight. With many quirky features and on a large block. His builder's heart burned with desire. He was keen to check it out. For 3 weeks, I resisted his pleading to just go and have a look. I knew we would fall in love with it the minute we saw it. I also realised that here was a project that would keep him busy for years. I was intrigued, but felt we were happily settled in City Beach and would perhaps only consider a move in a few years' time as the girls transitioned to high school. I also enjoyed the serenity of living in a house that didn't need any more Olney-style additions. The redeeming feature about the Fremantle house was that our dear friends Gil and Chris lived just around the corner, and that our kids would be able to go to the same primary school. Eventually I agreed, just to have a look. And that was it. We came to Freo, inspected the house, and despite its dilapidated state, we were hooked. In August 2007, we moved to Freo. I'd invited my City Beach friends to come and see the house a couple of days after we moved in. It was raining on the inside of the house. We had a lot of work to do. I could tell my City Beach friends pitied me. What had he made me do? Move from a beautiful, finished, newish house in City Beach to this dilapidated building? And in Fremantle, of all places. But we loved it. It had, and still has, so much potential. We both envisaged an enchanted childhood for our children growing up in this sprawling place. So many places to play hide and seek. Most kids would have been envious. Ours learnt to ride their bikes in the hallway. And they could invite us to watch their performances on stage in the chapel. He built a children's dream playground in the backyard, complete with flying fox, a sheltered pool with a huge spiral slide, and a trapeze overhead for aerial water drops. There was a circus trapeze in our lounge room, mezzanine floors and secret cellars in the girls' bedroom, all reached by ways of ladders, ropes and hidden trapdoors. More recently, he built a parent retreat for us upstairs in the enormous roof space, a lookout for us to relax and revive in, with views across the treetops, the river and to Freo Harbour beyond. And all the while, Andrew was planning the next stage of the renovation, the ultimate extension, incorporating warehouse-style kitchen and family living area. Finally, we would be able to entertain properly and reciprocate all those dinner parties. Our house is like no other. Andrew thrilled to finding charming or unique or highly idiosyncratic pieces to include in our home, from gorgeous recycled antique staircases to investment pieces, to his real delight, ordering cheap parts from China. Parcels would arrive weekly, sometimes daily, to be marvelled upon and used enthusiastically with glee. He cheekily informed me less than a week before he died that I should expect regular deliveries for some time to come. Everywhere we look in our house, every room, every quirky, often ridiculous, sometimes ingenious design feature lives and breathes with Andrew's creativity and presence. So, dear friends, if in future you find yourself missing Andrew and needing a laugh, please know that you will be welcome in our home to come and sit with us and have a cup of tea.
Okay, so that does bring us to the end of the formal part of the ceremony. I just want to thank Jane and the family for allowing us to have today, for all of us to come and spend this time together and just express how much we loved him and how amazing and wonderful we thought he was. It's a terribly sad day, and like Andrew said, I think we all wanted to get old with him and have his particular brand of wisdom in our life. And there will be a million sighs while we think of him. But we are all incredibly lucky to be here today, and it's an incredibly happy day in its way because we were all touched by Andrew. He was all a part of our lives, and that's something incredibly special. So thank you. Jane and the family are going to leave now, and I might ask the rest of you just to stay seated so that I can give you some information about what's going to happen next. So. So, friends and loved ones, that does bring us to the end of this ceremony. Again, Jane and the family have been incredibly generous in inviting everybody who'd like to go to the funeral, which will be held at Karrakatta Cemetery. If you're going to be there, please be there before 11:15. That's when the hearse will arrive, and then the hearse will move to the chapel at 11:30. There's parking off Stirling Highway, and for those who are coming, we'll see you there. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this. It was truly beautiful. Thank you.
Swallowed hard, squeezed tight. I lost my car keys overnight. Almost did, chickened out. Everything between us is different now.